Hello, it's me Tom again, back after a while of not doing any tutorials. So yeah, mostly been working on the album and playing with hardware synths and stuff, but today we're looking at this Serum patch, which is the one we just heard in the context of that track. It's like a big spacey pad, so this is actually a remix from a video game called FTL, which is sort of all about space. So lots of big spacey sounds. So the thinking here was just a lot of motion and a lot of width. So let's take a listen in isolation without the filter on, and you can see the movement happening with the LFOs here and the envelopes and the sync as well. So yeah, it's just it's not too complicated, this one, but some nice little tricks just to get that sound out of it. Also got a few plugins on there, so this reverb one from Audio Damage is particularly pertinent, but it's mostly just a sort of low pass. So any reverb will do, but that one's sort of quite good and was pretty up to the task. So yeah, let's get into a new session. Okay, so here we are in the blank instance of Serum, and as always with these, I like to start with the oscillators, just because that's where the base of the sound is. So we're going to go with a saw wave here, and this sound uses a fair bit of unison. I'm just going to bring the detune down a bit. We're going to be modulating this later. We'll set it to sync. Again, we're going to modulate that later, so just leave that where it is for now. So yeah, just that's the kind of basic starts the sound, saw waves, detuned. It's a starting point for a lot of synths, but particularly for this kind of futuristic, spacey sound. Sounds pretty horrible without the filter, but that is our starting point. Next oscillator is this saw rounded to square. This has quickly become one of my favourites in Serum. It delivers a very nice tone. Let's just listen to it by itself. Really nice diversity across the wave-table there. Very cool, and yeah, probably guilty of using that one a bit too much. So just going to detune it a bit. 4 voices, so it brings us up to 9 per note. So if we're doing lots of chords, then very quickly we're getting a big loud sound. And yeah, so I don't deafen you again. Let's move to the filter. So yeah, just kind of standard low pass, just going to bring the cutoff down a bit, going to be modulating that. And this pan setting, which is something new. In fact, let's just put both A and B in first. This pan setting changes how each side of the stereo spectrum is affected by the cutoff. So if I play with that. So for this, I just added a little bit to it there. Mostly just wanted to point it out because it's something new I've learned about, which is pretty cool, and it's not in a lot of other synths. We also want to have the sub oscillator here. If you're not doing huge kind of harmonies like I am in here, you might want to turn key tracking on, but for me this was fine because it was mostly the same kind of stuff. Sub oscillator wants to be a square wave. Bring the level down a little bit. Also need to turn down the level of this, forgot to mention, just to even that out. And we're actually going to set this to sync half, and sharpen it up a little bit, or actually I think that's widening it. But yeah, those are the settings from the original patch. So now with the filter, I've kind of got all the content there now. So now I just need to sort of modulate it. So moving on to the envelopes, the first envelope, we've got just kind of bit of release, well, quite a chunk of release, just to have that tail to the sound. Everything else here is fine. You might want a bit of attack. It's taste, so. And then moving on to the second envelope, we're going for a kind of big decay off kind of thing. And then we'll turn the attack down on this. And this is going to affect our cutoff. So it's basically our filter envelope. So bring that down a bit, but there there you go. This was drum and bass track, but at 87 BPM, so everything was happening very slowly. Obviously these values are in seconds, but yeah, my point is, if you're having a faster track, you might want to turn that down a bit. It's quite long, but obviously that's the effect I was going for. Third envelope has a lot of attack, about 6 seconds, and bring the decay all the way down on that one as well. This one was for some tuning on this oscillator, so it just needs to change the direction. The exact value I used was about 40. It was about 9, sorry, for this one. So and then you can hear, once we hit the high point here, it starts getting that phase in and out with the other oscillator. So just nice bit of motion in these long chords as they go on. So nice, just a little touch. You're not going to hear it in every note, but as they go on, it's good. So then we go to the LFO. So for the LFO, I drew a shape something like this. This is then set to a bar rate. The shape here is not exact, and even if it was, I'd advise you sort of set your own and see how you like the sound to tail off. So the LFO was assigned to the 2 syncs, as I said. So just changing the waveform basically. Let's bring that to about there, and I also applied it to the detune of the first oscillator a bit as well. And there you go. Now you can hear we've got that motion kind of stuck in. So not much left to go. We had a bit of a foray into effects, just a bit of hyperdimension to widen it up, and a bit of chorus. Some more feedback there. And there you go. That's kind of it for the most part. So if I just bring down the chords it was playing before, you can hear that's there, and this is a kind of quite a CPU intensive synth. So you're up at about 40% when it really gets going with 3 notes. Let's play with some bigger chords. So as far as effects go on this, as I said before, I had that big reverb. Didn't really use any EQs. This is just a sidechain compressor. So yeah, I mean, if we just bring on the reverb again, any kind of reverb will do. So let's have a listen. But if we wanted to try, let's say, a stock reverb in your DAW, let's go from a preset. And there you go, you kind of get much the same effect with a DAW in there, just a lot of reverb, and it's very wet, so it does take up a lot of the dry signal, which dulls the kind of high end as I show there. So yeah, if you were to EQ it rather than use a reverb, you might want to execute some of the low end and high end, particularly as it's kind of muddy. And then as you sweep around here, you'll find kind of sweet spots. But yeah, that's the sound. Hopefully that gives you enough options and some ideas of your own. Thanks for watching. Bye.